Hey everyone, what's up? I'm going to do this as quickly as I can because I don't know when my family member will be back. Um, but I want to do my, I'm here to do my review for Sonic issue 257. That's right, the now continuation of what started with Countdown to Chaos. Basically now, the newest issue. But I want to start with it. And I have to say, despite how some people may feel about Ian and stuff, that I thought this was an okay issue. I thought it was a pretty okay issue. I mean, basically, throughout this issue, you kind of saw and got the idea of the severity of the situation. I mean, even the narration at the beginning of the book indicates that this is probably going to be the biggest obstacle that the freedom fighters have ever faced. So anyway, you get a severity of the situation at Station Square. Everything is just falling apart. Everything's just in ruins. You even have a reference of the fact that here, and I don't know if it's the narrator, I don't know if it's Sonic, I don't know if it's Sally or Nicole that says this. I'm pretty sure it's maybe Sally, I'm not really sure. But basically they kind of say that this city still has yet to recover from its previous attack, which was, of course, the Sonic Adventure story. So they indicate to that. They indicate the severity of the situation, how big the situation is. Like I said, the severity of it. And, of course, you have, and I like this little nod, whether people like it or not, I like the little nod to the split of teams of the Freedom Fighters, when the Freedom Fighters have to split into two teams. I like the little homage, the little nod to the previous world, with one team being known as Team Freedom, the other known as Team Fighters. And you can kind of see when they go to each group and each character or characters, that not only do you see them rescuing all the different bystanders and citizens of Station Square, but you kind of see, like I mentioned, the severity of the situation from their perspective, if you will, like how bad it's getting, how hard this is getting to try to save people and try to figure out ways to get them all, to safety and organize the situation and get it under control. And it's even hard for Sonic, if you will, to try to do this. Now, you have, like I said, you have all the freedom fighters trying to, coordinate, trying to get the situation under control under the guidance, under the leadership, if you will, of Sally. Sally remains on the Sky Patrol to kind of coordinate the situation. And we find out that, there's so much going on. She's trying to do her best, I guess you could say, was trying to, tell, let's say, Sonic what to do, or try to figure out something for Sonic to organize here. And, just basically it's a whole huge situation. It's like she can't basically get it all right. She can't basically coordinate, organize her teams, the two teams correctly like she used to. Now, you have Cream kind of telling her, you got this scene in the issue where you have Cream telling her, look, you don't need to take this burden all by yourself, you don't need to take all this on your shoulders. And you have Sally basically, because you kind of see the pressure getting to her. You almost see her to the point that she's going to break down, kind of crack a little bit. And she's telling Cream, I have to do this. This is my way of making amends of what I nearly did. And she goes on to mention, because of what she did in the other world, of how she nearly killed Sonic, how she nearly destroyed everything that she and the Freedom Fighters has set in motion to kind of stop Eggman. How she almost did this and that. And, you see Nicole's concern of, and even before Sally says this to Cream and all that, you see Nicole's concern, are you okay? Are you fine? And then when finally Sally's saying all this, Nicole puts her hand on Sally's shoulder and says, no. Basically says, stop it right now. This is not about you anymore. This is not about you. We're all dealing with these dual memories. You cannot lose it right now. You have to be the Sally that inspired Dulcie. You have to be the Sally that helped inspire Loop. You have to be the Sally that knows how to coordinate, knows how to organize, knows how to lead. You need to be that Sally and not worry about what happened in the past or what you had done before. And she goes on to say, because you are not alone in this. We are with you. We are all together. We're all dealing with these dual memories, but you are not alone. You don't have to, you don't have to shoulder this burden by yourself anymore. And it's like, with that encouragement by Nicole, that kind of encouraging speech by Nicole to her, along with what Cream says beforehand and afterwards, where she says, because this is one thing I like about this panel. Cream's like, I know you have a lot of bad memories from the old world, but it's gone now. And if there's anyone to really blame, it's Dr. Eggman. And while this is happening, I will give the writers credit for making Cream a little bit more responsible, even for a young character, where she basically tells Sally, hey, well, you two were discussing, kind of talking and all that. I kept tabs on what was going on. She gives her a report. Sally's happy about that, thanks her for it, and says she'll take it from there. And finally, she becomes the Sally that Nicole said she once was. She starts becoming the Sally that starts to really organize and starts to coordinate and get things under control. But even though she starts to get back into that leadership role, which some fans like her in and some fans don't, you still kind of see the severity of the situation with all the characters, including Sonic, to the point that he's on the ledge with some people, and he's like, come on, somebody help, I'm running out of space. And you kind of get this kind of glimpse, this hint of him almost going feral again, almost werehog-like, until Amy shows up. And they kind of have a little playful banter where she's like, well, it's kind of like where she says something about flirting and all that. And Sonic kind of, like I said, playful banter was like, where she's like, oh, wait a minute. Well, basically she's kind of says, Sonic's like saying something like flirting and all that. And she's like, oh, really? You're going to say that now? And, this coming from a guy that always does this kind of stuff. That does this playful banter or talk. And Sonic's like, hey, but when I do it, it's cool. So basically, they start to get things under control as best they can. And then we have the United Federation show up. We have Gunn show up, led by Colonel Amanda Tower or something like that. I go look at the name. Her name is Tower, Lieutenant Tower, I think. I think it's Colonel or Lieutenant Tower. She shows up, helps the freedom fighters out. Helps the freedom fighters get everybody to safety. Thanks them for really, just for the small unit, for this small group that, even though for the small portion of them that there were, the small group that they are, that she thanks them for getting everything under control, organized, and coordinated. And while this is happening, Dr. Eggman, of course, in his own way, is trying to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out how to deal with the situations, the same situation and that, and everything. And he even tells, I think it's Orbot, he says, hey, if you mention me messing up Sonic's situation again, I'm going to turn you into something like tea sets or Chinese cups or something like that. Basically turn him into some kind of dinnerware, if you will. So, anyway, you have Eggman basically finally trying to do some research, and he finds out about Professor Prickle and his research and what he's doing, and he sends E-107 and its units over to that location to capture Prickle and obviously Chuck and anything that's connected to the research, so that he can use them to find a way to not only repair the planet, but to find a way to repair and save the planet, so that at least, as he puts it, he can have something to conquer and be emperor over, because if he doesn't, he's going to be emperor over a bunch of pieces of basically rubble, basically of a broken up planet. So you have that happen, and then we're back at the Sky Patrol, and you basically have all of them reporting in to the king and to Vanilla. Cream reports into Vanilla, lets her mom know she's okay. We have Sally basically reporting in to her dad, her and Nicole telling them what's going on. Sonic basically saying, hey, look, with everything that just happened today, can we just chalk up what's going on with the planet? Because because they still want to know how everybody's able to breathe, survive. Basically, how everybody's just plain able to survive in this situation. And Sonic's like, hey, man, with everything going on, can we just chalk it up to magic? And, of course, the king's like, sure, no problem. We'll just leave it at that for right now. And, of course, everybody's just exhausted. And, of course, during the rescue and even afterwards, you have characters like Bunny and Antoine and Sonic and Tails kind of like talking about how the previous world is starting to feel like just a vivid dream, and every time you wake up, it fades away. And I think we kind of get a hint now, maybe with what's going on with Antoine and Bunny, that even though they remain married, they might turn into the couple that repeats each other's sentences. Yeah. Get what I'm saying? They kind of not repeat each other's sentences, but finish each other's sentences. So we might get a glimpse, that might be a glimpse of something to come, and everything, but they're all exhausted. And of course we end the issue with Sonic wanting to get in contact with, Chuck and Prickle and see what they've found out. And, because he goes on to tell Sally, with everything going on and this and that, I just feel it's basically all connected somehow. So they get in contact, and Mutsky just goes on to tell them, because they look at Mutsky, and Mutsky's and Sonic's like, hey, Mutsky, you okay? What's going on? And finally he tells them that Eggman's E-robots captured Prickle and Chuck and took everything with them. So that leads us, of course, into the Chase storyline or subplot next issue. So overall, like I said at the beginning, a pretty good issue. I love the references and the hints of possibly seeing Dulcie and Loop in the future and all that. The artwork, I will say, was all right, although I didn't like the bottom eyelids on Sally. I think that was kind of like thrown off a little bit. But I can understand they're trying to make it more game-related, so that's acceptable, even though Evan Stanley, I think Evan needs to really work on the whole eyelid situation. But still, it was an okay arc. It was an okay issue. It showed the severity of the situation, and that out of all the missions and stuff they had in this world and in the previous world, that what they just went through in this issue was nothing could compare basically to what they went through in this issue. So overall, very good issue, and I highly recommend you probably reading it. It's an okay issue, and I think we kind of get a hint at times, maybe, at certain situations happening, like the whole Sonic Unleashed adaptation, loose adaptation coming up, and stuff like that. So I'll say this, despite how you may feel about Cream, I like how she was presented here, how she was able to, like Nicole, kind of convince Sally, hey, look, it's not all your fault. You're not alone in this. We're all here. And that if there's anybody to really blame for this, it's Eggman. Which to me also hints at the fact that when Sally finally confronts Eggman, she may beat him up a little bit along with Sonic, but I think Sally's final blow to him will probably be a shot in the nuts, if you know what I mean, if they allow that to happen in the issue. And they have before, so we'll see what happens. But overall, pretty good issue, pretty okay, good issue, and I do highly recommend at times, if you are a true big fan of the story arc, I highly recommend you read it. And I just recommend it to overall Sonic fans if you just want to see how this whole post-soft retcon soft reboot story arc is going to go. So I think you might like it, and that's all I'm going to say. Comment below, and I'll talk to y'all later. God bless.